Good morning. Now, come on, good morning. It's a special day for all of the graduates here, so good morning. Good morning. Thank you for that warm introduction, President Allen Ray, trustees, distinguished guests, family, friends of the graduates. Thank you for having me here to address this very special class, the class of 2019. Mario Oliveira. It is a true impact which you have and continue to have. I am humbled to share this podium and this stage with you. I wish you the very best in your future endeavors and continue to advocate for all of our first responders. Thank you. You know, today marks a milestone for everyone in this room, especially the parents. Throughout the countless teachers these graduates have had in their lives, nothing can change the fact that you, the parents, were there first. You were the ones who helped them pave their way for success. You were the ones who carried them through their hardships. And you, continuous commitment and love for them cannot be a measure that cannot be replaced. And so let's hear it for the parents. Now, I know the level of support spouses and family members and extended family and friends who also give a matter of support to these graduates. I too want to recognize you, and so let's give them a great round of applause. To the class of 2019, congratulations, you did it. From tough nights studying to the last paper you submitted, we all know it takes a lot to make it to those seats. Today's conclusion at Fisher College may lie at the end of this stage as you receive your diplomas. But the knowledge and friends which you have drawn and the network of support will continue with you forever. May I ask all of the veterans in the class of 2019 and in this audience and this stage to please rise. So if you have served, if you're continues to serve, please rise and let's give them a great round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to give special thanks to your courageous acts of service, your selfless sense in humanity, and it is an inspiration to all of us around you. Your service and your sacrifice ensures that all of us can be here and go to a great school, earn a degree, be in this room for a fraction of what it is to earn and to be part of the American dream. Let us give them another great round of applause. Know that your choice at Fisher College has been one of purpose. Because of Fisher's hard work, promise, and engagement with those in the military, it has been recognized as a military-friendly institution for approximately 10 years. Your continuous commitment and dedication does not go unnoticed, and for that, I thank the continuous support. Thank you, Fisher College. Those who have worked with veterans, especially the professors, know their temperament, their work ethic, their loyalty is one that cannot be found elsewhere. When you raised your right hand and gave that oath of allegiance, it didn't finish upon your completion of service. It carried on with us because that is what an oath is. It stands the test of time. And listen, let me ask the young entrepreneurs in this audience, if you could do me just one favor. Consider hiring a veteran. Consider making them part of your team. Veterans are team players. That's what they're trained to do. They're good for the bottom line, and they'll be good for your business as well. They are looking for their next mission. Now, if you couldn't tell by now, I am a veteran, and I hope it wasn't my excellent posture that gave it away. And I won't promise I'll try to enlist you sometime between my completion of my remarks and or ask you to drop and give me 10. Was that hazing? I can't do that. Okay. But what I can promise you, I want to leave you with something I would have wanted to hear when I was graduating and sitting in your seats. Again, as you would be graduates here in a few moments. It wasn't long ago when I was sitting in your seats, and like you, I understand the hurdles for which you had to jump. The path which you have taken has been drastically different, and that's okay. That's a good thing. Not one path is supposed to be the same, but it is important that we recognize that you all walk this path together. The eagerness you're feeling right now is also normal, so don't worry. Your eagerness to walk out of those doors right behind you and propel you into the next chapter is what will continuously push you into your next course, into your careers. Whenever I think about that stereotypical next chapter, I think about my pavement and where it began in the Dominican Republic, where I was born and where I was raised. Only one of my earliest memories was hearing stories of my family and our arrival into this country, one that began with standing outside of a U.S. embassy, waiting our turn to receive our visas. More often than not, it looked like it wasn't going to happen. But after endless petitioning, ceaseless work from my family, and what would felt like a novel full of documents, we finally were granted our admittance. When we came to America, we settled locally in Lawrence, and we really enjoyed it there. Lawrence was and remains a good community with many people in situations such as that of our own. But as time went on, my parents had a tough decision to make, and that was to move elsewhere, and so we did. We moved to South Florida, where I completed my high school. And to this day, I attribute a lot of my upbringing to my time down south. But even though Florida became home, it wasn't the only thing that helped define who I am today. My family had come to a place that would change the course of our lives for the better. I realized my life was molded something other than my time in Lawrence and my time in Florida. It was molded by this country and what it stands for. I wasn't that old enough when I came to that realization, but when I did, I knew I had a calling, and that was to give back. It may sound cliche, but I felt as though I had to pay my time forward to a service and to the lives that have impacted me and my upbringing so much and those around me. That said, I could not think of a better way than to do so by joining the military, and more specifically, the United States Marine Corps. So there I was, a sophomore, age 14, in high school, when a military recruiter showed up in campus. And I walked right up to him in the dapper uniform, and I said, "I want to enlist." To which he said, "Son, you're not old enough." It made sense, right? I was just a bit too young, but I was determined to do so no matter what the cost, no matter how long it would take, and so I stayed in contact with my recruiter for about 3 years. After a never-ending preparation and physical meets, the time had come. I had turned 17, which meant I was old enough to receive consent from my mother, thanks Mom, to be able to do so. Now, I don't know how much you know about the enlistment process, but before you do anything, before you step foot on that bus or that airplane that takes you to boot camp and takes you into basic training, there's an assessment that one needs to pass. It has physical portions, and it has a list of questionnaires that one needs to meet. And so they also need to be completed under the penalties of perjury, which means you can't lie. So I showed up ready to go. In basic terms, I crushed it. But then we got to the questionnaire, and one of the questions was very broad. And it had, have you ever had any medical issues in the past? And so nothing really stood out to me because, like most young people, I was healthy. I vaguely recall a short stint with asthma during our time living in Lawrence, and so I figured I listed anyway what could be the worst that could happen, and again, that penalty of perjury thing was still, lingering there. Little did I know at the time that asthma would be automatic disqualifications from joining the Marines. The recruiter broke it to me. I didn't pass the overall assessment because of an ailment I no longer had, and actually never really had it in the first place. To put it lightly, I was blindsided. You name it, I felt it. But as disappointed as I was, my recruiter was furious. Now, not because he liked me, trust me, they work on quotas. And so this Ureña kid, who he had been mentoring for the last 1,000 days, now wouldn't count towards that quota. So he gave me 3 options. 1, let the assessment stand and find something else to do. 2, find a different branch of the military to join, and when that question gets presented, answer it differently. Or 3, work with a doctor to nullify my account of asthma, and that was the path we took. We had 6 long months of doctor's exams, petitioning medical records, and I was offered to take a running test. one that would determine if my asthma was a debilitating condition bad enough to enlist in the Marines. So there I was. This time I was poked and prodded and strapped to a number of electrodes, second to Iron Man himself. I hopped on that treadmill and began my stress test. Again, everything went smooth, and after my first run, I was administered albuterol, which is fancy for an asthma inhaler. And I was asked to complete a second run. Yet again, everything went on smoothly. The results were in, and the doctors presented me a large sheet of paper with red lines looking up and down, what seemed to be normal to me. The doctor did a big circle and said, look, you performed better in your test run with the albuterol, so therefore you have asthma. And I said, Doc, before you go any further, for the last 3 years, all I've wanted to do was be a United States Marine. It is in your hands to make that recommendation. So please, if you could help me out and mark me as passed, trust me, if there's something a matter, it will be found during boot camp. And so there she went and checked off passed. Looking back, I could have had enlisted. When my first assessment was made, I could have just moved on. I could have just given up and ventured into a different career, probably given me a sense of purpose as exciting and as purposeful as that was to join the Marines. I mean, after all, being a Marine isn't the only way of giving back, but I knew this asthma situation was just a roadblock standing between me and what I wanted to achieve. And with all roadblocks, whether mental or physical, there's always a means to a resolution. There's always a way around them. My family could have given up after those multiple requests for information outside of that embassy. And all of you all could have given up after a tough night of studying, after a missed grade, or after just the over-sense of so much that college brings into closing semester. But you didn't. We found ways around those roadblocks, and we carried on with them in our rear view, ready to take whatever came on next. As I mentioned earlier, each of our pathways is here different because they all become different obstacles. But know that there are similarities as well, one which would lie within their conclusion. The path in which we walk only ends when we do, and the journey which we take are forged by our experiences we have with those around us, because they are the ones that help us move forward. So through the good times and the bad, through thick and thin, and those close to you, promise me just one thing, and that is that you will pave your path in persistence. If you can do that, I promise you that will lead you to where you want to go. Along the way, have integrity. By all means, hold on to it tightly, because step by step and decision by decision, the choices you make adjust the ship of your journey ever so slightly, and those slight adjustments may lead to a full turn, for the better or for the worst, and that, my friends, is up to you. When it comes to integrity, know that you have the final say, because only you can agree to have it, and only you can allow yourself to stray away from it. Your integrity will help you navigate through tough and testing waters, and after all, your integrity has guided you to your seats in this room and will do so for years to come. And finally, move forward and keep moving forward. Because when you come under fire, it is your integrity, your purpose, and your persistence that will get you through it. And if you hold on fast to those three principles, I promise you'll be happy enough to look back and say, I gave purpose. Surround yourself with people who hold these values to the highest regard. I mean, look around you. You already found a good cohort. You're already off to a pretty good start. To close, I want to give you a quote which I would have wanted to hear when I left my home at the age of 17, getting ready to face the world for the very first time. This quote comes from a funeral of a Korean War veteran to which we provided military honors. His name was James Madison Walters Moore. His son Charlie stood and read a note James gave him as he was leaving to college. And it read, hold on to your integrity so that you could sleep at night, and maintain a confidence in yourself, which is often difficult to do. It helps to have a little faith and follow the inner voice within you, because it's usually a pretty good guide To the class of 2019, Godspeed, congratulations, and good luck.